Welcome back to the After Hours story. Last chapter, a hidden hotel appeared where no building should exist. Guests checked in, but some were never seen leaving. Security cameras captured empty hallways moving on their own. Elevators stopped at a floor missing from the official directory, and one guest walked into a corridor that disappeared from reality itself. The hotel management denied everything, but tonight, new recordings have emerged because someone new has arrived, and this time, the hotel already knows their name. This is Hotel Zero Floor, Chapter 2, The Residence. Welcome back to After Hours Story, where the lights stay on, but the world feels different after midnight. Tonight's story is not just about fear, but about places that should not exist, and people who realize too late that leaving was never an option. Turn down the lights, get comfortable, and step carefully, because some stories do not end when the video does. The hallway looked longer than before. I was certain this wasn't the same corridor I walked through last night. The lights flickered slowly, not broken, but breathing, as if the hotel itself had a pulse. Every door was closed, perfectly aligned, identical. No numbers, no sounds, just silence pressing against my ears. Then I noticed something unsettling. One of the doors was slightly open. Not enough to see inside, just enough to suggest someone had been watching me. I stopped walking. The air felt heavier, colder. Somewhere behind me, a door clicked shut. I turned around instantly, but the hallway was empty again. No footsteps. No movement. Only the faint feeling that I was no longer a guest here. I was being observed, evaluated, like a new resident being welcomed without permission. The corridor remained silent as he continued walking, yet the feeling of being watched grew stronger with every step. The hotel no longer felt empty. Behind several doors came faint movements, a chair sliding, soft footsteps stopping exactly when he paused. None of the doors had numbers, and none of them opened fully, but small gaps appeared now and then, just enough to suggest someone inside was observing him without being seen. Halfway down the hall, one door stood slightly open. Warm light spilled into the darkness, contrasting sharply with the cold corridor outside. He slowed, unsure whether to approach or walk past. The light suddenly switched off by itself, leaving only darkness behind the doorway. A second later, the sound of multiple locks clicking echoed through the floor at the exact same moment. That was when he understood. The residents were awake, and they already knew he was here. If you enjoy psychological horror stories and late-night mysteries like this one, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. New stories arrive after hours, when silence feels louder and imagination becomes something else entirely. The lights above the hallway dimmed again, not flickering this time, but lowering slowly, as if responding to an unseen schedule. A soft mechanical hum echoed through the floor, followed by a distant announcement that never fully formed into words. It sounded like a voice speaking through old speakers buried inside the walls, repeating something meant only for those who belonged here. He noticed a small framed notice hanging between two doors, something he was certain had not been there before. The paper looked aged, almost yellowed by time. At the top were simple words, resident guidelines. There were no explanations, only rules written in calm, formal language. Do not knock after midnight. Do not answer unfamiliar voices. Do not use the elevator alone. As he finished reading, footsteps suddenly stopped behind every door at once. The silence that followed felt intentional, as if the entire floor had paused, waiting to see whether he would obey. He stepped away from the notice, trying to ignore the growing pressure in the hallway. The silence felt unnatural, as if every sound had been deliberately removed. Then, without warning, one of the doors behind him opened slowly. No creaking, no footsteps, just the quiet movement of a door revealing darkness inside. He turned carefully. A figure stood in the doorway, perfectly still. Its posture was straight, almost formal, hands resting calmly at its sides. The face remained hidden in shadow, yet the presence felt intensely aware of him. Neither of them moved. Seconds passed in complete silence, until the hallway lights dimmed again. When the lights returned, the figure had taken one step forward, closer than before, without making a single sound. The door behind it closed gently, leaving the figure alone in the corridor, watching, as if waiting for him to understand that he was no longer just visiting. He was being introduced. He forced himself to keep walking, refusing to look back at the figure standing behind him. The hallway stretched forward endlessly, identical doors repeating like reflections in a mirror. Every step echoed louder than it should have, as if the corridor was listening. The air felt warmer now, heavier, carrying a faint scent that didn't belong to an empty building. Something lived in, something old. As he passed another door, the handle slowly turned on its own. Then another, and another. One by one, door handles along the hallway moved slightly, never opening completely, just enough to suggest someone inside was testing the boundary between rooms and corridor. He stopped walking. Instantly, every handle stopped moving too. The silence returned, deeper than before. It was no longer fear he felt, but recognition. The residents weren't hiding anymore. They were acknowledging him. A distant ding echoed through the hallway, soft but unmistakable. The elevator had arrived again. He hadn't pressed any button, yet the sound carried authority, like a summons that could not be ignored. The corridor lights shifted slightly toward the elevator's direction, guiding his attention whether he wanted it or not. Slowly, he turned and saw the elevator doors standing open at the far end of the hall. Inside, the cabin light flickered weakly. The digital display above the door showed a number that made no sense. 0. Not a basement, not a floor listed anywhere. Just 0. The air around the elevator felt colder than the rest of the corridor. As he stepped closer, the doors remained perfectly still, waiting. For a moment, he felt certain the hotel wasn't offering escape. It was offering transition, from guest to resident. He stopped just outside the elevator, unsure whether to step in or walk away. The light inside flickered again, revealing movement that hadn't been there before. A figure stood at the far corner of the cabin, partially hidden by shadow. Perfectly still, facing the wall instead of the door, as if it had been waiting long before the elevator arrived. No breathing sound, no shifting posture, only presence. The display above the elevator changed quietly from 0 to a blank symbol that didn't resemble any number. The figure slowly turned its head, not toward him, but toward the corridor behind him, as if watching something approach from farther down the hall. The elevator doors remained open, patient and unmoving, offering space beside the figure. And in that moment, he understood. The elevator wasn't empty when it called. It had come to collect another resident. The elevator waited longer than it should have, as if allowing him time to decide. The figure inside never moved, never acknowledged his presence, yet the silence felt like pressure building around him. Behind him, the hallway lights dimmed one by one, pushing darkness closer toward the open elevator doors. Instinct told him to step back, but his feet refused to move. Without warning, the elevator doors began to close, slowly, almost gently, not fast enough to trap him, but slow enough to feel deliberate. As the gap narrowed, he noticed more figures standing farther down the corridor. Doors had opened silently behind him. Shapes filled the hallway, watching without emotion. Just before the doors fully closed, the elevator light flickered once more, and the figure inside finally turned slightly toward him, as if confirming that his choice had already been made. The bell rang again, closer this time. The guest turned. The corridor behind him had changed. Doors lined both sides now, all closed, all identical. A low hum filled the air. One door clicked open, then another, each opening slowly, as if breathing. Soft light spilled into the hallway. Inside every room, someone stood waiting. Guests, silent, watching him. Not hostile, not welcoming, waiting. The lights above flickered in sequence, guiding him forward. Step by step, the hallway narrowed. At the far end, the elevator doors waited, open, ready. The residents stood inside, leaving one space empty. For him. The guest understood at last. You did not choose a floor here. The floor chose you. One door opened completely, then another, and another. The sound was soft but synchronized, spreading down the corridor like a silent signal being answered. Figures began stepping into the hallway, moving slowly, calmly, without urgency. They stood beside their doors, facing the same direction, toward the elevator, as if responding to something only they could hear. None of them looked at each other. None of them spoke. Their movements were precise, almost rehearsed, like residents following routines repeated countless times before. Some stood perfectly still. Others adjusted their posture in small mechanical motions, but every face carried the same expressionless calm. The hallway no longer belonged to a visitor. It belonged to them. And as he realized he was now standing among the residents, one unsettling thought surfaced. No one had invited him to leave. A low static sound filled the hallway, rising slowly from hidden speakers buried somewhere behind the walls. Every resident stopped moving at the exact same moment, heads tilted slightly upward, listening. The sound sharpened into a calm mechanical voice, distorted just enough to feel unnatural. It did not welcome guests. It did not give instructions. It simply announced an arrival. The lights brightened briefly, then dimmed again, bathing the corridor in a pale glow. One by one, the residents turned their heads toward him. Not suddenly, but in perfect synchronization. Dozens of eyes settled on him at once. The announcement repeated softly, the words clearer now. Resident status, pending confirmation. The voice paused, as if waiting for a response that only the hotel could hear. And somewhere deep within the building, an elevator bell rang again.
The announcement faded, leaving a heavy silence behind. No one moved. The residents continued staring at him, their attention unwavering, patient, expectant. A faint vibration passed through the floor again, stronger this time, followed by the distant hum of machinery waking somewhere deep below the building enclosure. The elevator bell echoed once more, longer than before, like a signal reaching its final stage. Above the elevator doors, the display changed rapidly through numbers that didn't exist on any floor directory. Symbols flickered, stopping briefly at 0, then going dark. The hallway lights dimmed until only the elevator remained illuminated. Slowly, the resident stepped aside, creating a clear path toward it. No force pushed him forward, yet the meaning was undeniable. The hotel had finished observing. Now it was waiting for confirmation.
He stood frozen as the path toward the elevator opened before him. The residents no longer watched with curiosity, only quiet certainty. The hallway felt different now, calmer, as if resistance itself had disappeared. Each step he took echoed softly, blending with the low mechanical hum filling the building. The elevator doors waited open once more, light spilling outward like a threshold separating two realities. As he crossed into the cabin, none of the residents followed. They simply remained in the hallway, perfectly still, their purpose complete. The doors began closing behind him, slow and deliberate. Just before they met, he looked back one last time. Every resident bowed their heads at the same moment, not in respect, but in acknowledgement. The elevator sealed shut, and the display above it illuminated a single word instead of a number. Resident. The elevator began to move without any sensation of direction. No upward pull, no downward drop. Only a deep vibration humming through the walls, steady and endless. The cabin lights dimmed as the display flickered between numbers that climbed and descended at the same time, impossible to follow. Outside the doors, there was no mechanical sound of passing floors, only darkness pressing against the metal like an unseen ocean. The air grew colder. The reflection in the elevator mirror shifted slightly behind him, lagging a fraction of a second before matching his movements. Then the display stopped changing. One symbol appeared again. 0. The vibration ceased instantly. Silence returned. The elevator doors slowly opened, revealing not another hallway, but a familiar lobby he somehow recognized. The same hotel entrance, the same stillness. Except now, someone stood behind the reception desk, waiting for the next arrival. The lobby looked exactly the same as the night he arrived, yet everything felt different. The silence was no longer unsettling. It felt expected. The receptionist stood motionless behind the desk, hands folded neatly, watching him with calm familiarity. A small ledger lay open beside a brass bell, its pages filled with names written in identical handwriting. Slowly, the receptionist slid the book toward him, stopping precisely at an empty line waiting to be completed. Before he could react, footsteps echoed from beyond the entrance doors. Someone new had arrived. The glass doors opened automatically, revealing another traveler stepping inside, confused and unaware. Instinctively, he turned toward the desk, toward the ledger, toward the role that now felt strangely natural. Without being told, he understood. The hotel did not trap guests, it replaced them. And as the newcomer approached, he realized the truth. He was no longer searching for an exit. He was now part of Hotel 0 floor. If you enjoy psychological horror stories and late-night mysteries like this one, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. New stories arrive after hours, when silence feels louder and imagination becomes something else entirely. You've just listened to another story from After Hours Story. If something in tonight's episode felt unsettling, that might be because some places stay with you long after you leave. Thank you for watching, and remember, not every door should be opened after midnight. I'll see you in the next story.